Welcome to the Paracosm Cafe TV. Have a sip with me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the maiden voyage of the Paracosm Cafe Show, a journey into the realms of the imagination where stories that transcend reality come to life. Tonight, we have a special treat for you as we delve into the enigmatic tales of two individuals whose lives were forever changed by encounters beyond the ordinary. Our first story takes us into the world of an anonymous storyteller whose eerie encounters with alien graves will send shivers down your spine. From inexplicable humming sounds to the unsettling presence of the extraterrestrials, this tale will keep you on the edge of your seat, reminding us that the cosmos holds more secrets than we can fathom. And then there's Emily, a young soul drawn to the shadows, to the places where reality fades and mysteries unfurl. Her encounter with the shadow people will captivate your imagination as we unravel a story of both fascination and fear, where the line between the unknown and the known blurs. So sit back, let your imagination roam free, and allow yourself to be immersed in these gripping narratives. As you listen, remember that reality is often more intricate than we can perceive. And sometimes the most captivating stories are the ones that stretch the boundaries of our understanding. Welcome to the Paracosm Cafe Show, where we invite you to embrace the extraordinary. Please have a sip with me.
A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. So, he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusions. By thoughts, I mean specifically chatter in the skull, perpetual and compulsive repetition of words, of reckoning and calculating. I'm not saying that thinking is bad. Like everything else, is useful in moderation. A good servant, but a bad master. And all so-called civilized peoples have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive because through excessive...
All right, guys, so I'm going to freestyle this. I do not want to sit here and edit and edit and edit. I'm just going to talk. If I make mistakes that come out, whatever. Okay, so my name is Michael Acevedo, as I told you guys in my introductory show. And today is going to be my maiden voyage. I'm hoping to be able to put out a couple of shows per week, which, given my schedule now, is loosened up because now I only have one class of college left. I should be able to do that no problem because I've been, oh my God, guys, you have no idea. I've been like reading and writing and reading and writing. Like I just last semester, I did a 20-page paper like in a week. And it's like, how did I even do that? But it's because I'm a master writer, right? So, speaking of, so my book, Beauty Demands Intimacy, #Bliss Shift as the subtitle. You guys can find that on KDP. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys are interested. So it's a poetry book that reads like nonfiction. So it's a book that slowly builds on itself, and it's unintentional, really, but it's because I wrote it over such a long period of time. So if you're really paying attention, like it'll read like that. Okay, so in this episode, I want to get into what a paracosm is, and I want to get into a couple of stories that I had a couple of friends email me um, that have to do with alien abductions and shadow people. Those are two things that have kind of, you could say, plagued me in my life. So I've kind of had experiences with those. So what is a paracosm? So to me, paracosm has always been that imaginary realm or that imaginary state of creation. So we're always, from my perspective, we're always creating from a state of residual. So we're always projecting from the past what we are getting in the present, right? So in between the microcosm and the macrocosm, you get the paracosm. In fact, if you look up what paracosm means on Google, it'll say a detailed, prolonged imaginary world created by a child that includes human, animal, or alien creations. Now, I don't think that's an accident, but I do think that they're not getting the point. So we actually create from this state what our current existence is, which is a law of attraction. So if you don't want it to manifest into your life, you cannot be thinking about it, no matter what it is, whether it be racism, whether it be getting fired, whether it be anything. Don't think about it. Do not even. And I'm kind of even just talking about aliens and shadow people is kind of a bad thing, because that's kind of when they tend to visit, see what's up or whatever. But I think it's kind of because you're creating it. So it's coming back to you. But that's a story for another show. Today, I just want to keep it simple. So that's why I call it a paracosm, because this is so everything is just vibration. Everything, the moon doesn't exist. That's Einstein's problems. So if everybody just stopped thinking about the moon, it wouldn't exist. Abraham Hicks says, if a tree falls in the forest, did it make a sound? And if nobody's around to hear, then the answer is really no, it didn't make a sound. Even though if you were there, it would have made a sound. But since nobody heard it, it does not exist. Okay. So my friends submitted a couple of stories through my email, and what's it called? So if you guys want to submit your stories, I'd be more than happy to shout you guys out. Anything that you put in there, I'd be more than willing to talk about it, right? So, okay, so shameless plug here. So if you guys want to look at my book, you can find it. I'll leave the link in the description, so you can find it at hashtag BlissShift anywhere, or Beauty Demands Intimacy on KDP. Okay, so the first story is from my friend. His name's Daniel. I asked him to give him titles, right? So he titled it "Unearthly Encounters," and it goes something like this. And I would like to follow up these stories with a couple of things that happened to me in my personal life, right? Okay, unearthly encounters. It all began on a warm summer night when I was just 14 years old. I had been lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to fall asleep after a tiring day. The moonlight seeped through the curtains, casting eerie shadows on my walls. Just as I was about to drift off, a strange humming sound filled the air, causing a shiver to run down my spine. I glanced around my room, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. That's when I saw them. Three tall, slender figures with elongated limbs and large, jet black eyes standing at the foot of my bed. Now, I'll pause here. That seems to be like such a typical encounter. Okay. So I have had the experience of having something like that happen to me, but the only thing that I saw was the hands. And if you guys have ever looked at the Skinny Bob footage, that is exactly what they look like. That was not something that happened to me while I was asleep. That's why I know that's what they look like. But okay, so I'll continue. My heart raced as I realized that they were these infamous alien gray creatures from another world that I had only heard about in movies and books and my friends talking about it. Frozen in fear, I couldn't move or scream. The aliens communicated with each other in a language that sounded like a mix of clicks and hisses. Okay, so that, if you guys remember the movie Signs, that that's kind of, I've never heard that, but I can imagine that that's probably what he was listening or hearing. They moved closer to me, their eyes fixed on me as if studying every inch of my body. Suddenly, blinding light enveloped me, and the next thing I knew, I was floating in midair. Now, I'll pause again. I'm sorry, it's just that this is relevant. So, if you guys have ever heard of infrasound, Well, I did a little bit of research, and on my YouTube channel, if you look up the Paracosm Cafe, and it's one of, I think it's, I started a series of Missing 411, and in these series, I discovered that infrasound actually creates the they have the date rape pill, right, the GHB, right, so that creates like a paralytic effect in the body. Well, come to find out that infrasound does the same thing, but by reducing, because you see GHB is produced naturally in the body, right? So infrasound uh, stops the uptake, the, what is it called? The inhibitor. I think it's GABA, so it's GABA and GHB, right? So infrasound stops GABA, which leads to an accumulation of GHB, if I remember correctly. So, anyways, so after studying this for a while, I found out that, and I forget his name. He's called the Alien Hunter, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not gonna look it up right now. Daryl Sims, I think. Yeah, Daryl Sims. He says that he calls it nuking. They call it nuking. So what happens is these alien beings, what they do is they nuke a neighborhood, right? So that everybody in that neighborhood is nuked. So everybody is suffering from this massive cascade of GHB in their body, which keeps them from moving, right? And and which leads to the paralytic effect, which allows these aliens to walk around the neighborhood for free. You know what I mean? Like nobody's really up, and that's why sometimes if you, for some reason, are not in a position where you can feel the infrasound or whatnot, you catch them in the act of running around or doing whatever they're doing, right? Okay, so that's that, right? So at one point, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was just standing in the room, right? And then I reached down to get my girlfriend, and she's like, I mean, she was asleep, right? But I feel like this massive boom, and that's kind of what it felt like, boom. So when I felt that, like, I just felt like I couldn't move anymore, and I just fell on the bed, and that's the last thing I remember till the morning. Well, anyways, let me continue with the story. They moved closer to me with their eyes fixed on me as if studying me every inch of my body. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped me, and the next thing I knew, I was floating in midair. My surroundings had changed completely. I was in a metallic room, lying on a cold, hard surface. The aliens stood around me, their eyes never leaving me. I tried to speak, but no words came out. Panic surged through me as I realized that I was entirely at their mercy. Days turned into weeks as I found myself in a series of inexplicable experiences. I was subjected to strange medical procedures, not probing, but rather intricate scans and tests. Each time I was left disoriented and terrified, wondering when this nightmare would end. So, I mean, I remember at one point I kind of got used to the fact that they were you kind of know, like you just know when they're gonna come. You know what I mean? And it's almost like your interest is piqued in the subject, but if I'm understanding my logic correctly, that's backwards. You're kind of creating it to happen. You know what I mean? Okay, so as time passed, I noticed a pattern. They didn't seem hostile, but rather curious about me. They showed me images of their home planet through vivid holographic displays. I saw landscapes unlike anything on Earth, vibrant colors, surreal flora, and towering crystalline structures. They conveyed emotions and thoughts to me without words, making me feel like a part of their world. Eventually, the encounters became less terrifying and more surreal. I learned to communicate with them, though, through a strange form of telepathy. They shared stories of their civilization and their journey through the cosmos. I started to feel a strange sense of connection with them, as if I was part of something bigger than myself. Just as abruptly as it had all started, the encounters came to a halt. One night I found myself back in my own room, with the moonlight filtering through the curtains. The aliens were gone, leaving me with a mix of emotions, relief, confusion, a deep longing for the experiences that had become strangely familiar. Now, as I sit here and recount my story, I'm left with unanswered questions. Were those experiences real, or were they just vivid dreams brought on by an overactive imagination? I don't think I'll ever find out, bro. Um, But what I answered is that these encounters have changed me forever, opening my mind to the vast mysteries that exist beyond our understanding. And sometimes on quiet nights, I still find myself gazing at the stars, wondering if I'll ever encounter the unknown again. Well, I do feel like he is a little lucky that it. Honestly, I don't think they've stopped. If I'm really thinking about it, I think that maybe they go on hiatus for a while, but maybe they're just waiting for him to reach another level before they come back or something. Um, and but what I mean by that is maybe reach another age, because I definitely feel like there are age markers, and so what I mean by age markers is that they come at certain ages just to see how you're doing. So if you study Daryl Sims' work, if I remember correctly, he said I think that they come back at 14. If you're 14 or 8. Okay, now at this point, I'm just guessing at numbers, but I'm just basing it off of how it happened to me, right? But yeah, so I think that if you go a long period of time and you haven't felt anything, it's just because they haven't wanted you to feel anything. I think that these beings are not as physical as we as we think that they are. I think that they have the ability to be around you without you noticing them. I'm sorry, guys. I have something in my throat. But anyways, at one point, I had an 8 megapixel Coolpix camera, and if I remember the situation correctly, my sister was taking pictures. Sorry, the cat is freaking me out. So, anyways, my sister was taking pictures of a hallway, and we saw an orb. And on this orb, we could clearly see an alien gray in it. And it wasn't kind of like sort of there, it was there, right? And it was just the head and the eyes. And of course, this picture just kind of just vanished, right? It was just no longer available. The memory card is just gone and it just lost in time. But we remember seeing that picture vividly. And yeah, so I feel like the microcosm is more around us than we really think, and I think these things can float around in the air. And in fact, I what I really think is that they can use the power lines as a way to travel from place to place. um, One of the experiences that I had, and I don't remember if I put it into the introductory show, but basically this shadow person jumped into the utility box, right? So it just went in there. So I don't know if it just so happened to be that was the piece of wall that was right next to me, or if it was actually using it to travel. But that's how it went. Okay, so that was my friend Daniel's story. But honestly, I think it was a little cliche, sort of, maybe. But the fact is that a lot of these stories are similar because that's all they want you to know or feel or hear or speak, right? So they don't want you to go out there and tell them like this crazy vivid story that 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 they don't want that they don't want people to know. But anyways, okay. So my friend Emily, she turned in the story called "The Veil of Whispers," which is pretty cool, right? Uh, Hello, my name is Emily, and growing up in the quiet town of Willowbrook, I always had a fascination with the unknown. I don't even know where Willowbrook is. There was something enchanting about the way the shadows danced in the edges of my vision, hinting at secrets just beyond reach. Little did I know these secrets would unveil themselves in a series of encounters with the shadow people. Now, we all know that you can actually see better off to the corner of the eye. I know I've researched this. I just don't remember. I should have read her. I'm reading these stories for the first time. Like I knew what they were about, sort of. But yeah, so what's it called? We have better peripheral vision. So whenever you actually feel like you're seeing something out of the corner of your eye, you actually are seeing them, or it or whatever is inside your house or room or inside the range of your vision, right? So don't ever dismiss that as just, oh, I thought I saw something. No, no, you did see something. Okay. So, anyways, I was 17 when it all began. A night like any other. The moonless sky blanketed my room in darkness, and as I lay in bed restless, I noticed a movement in the corner of my eye. Turning my head, I found myself face to face with them, shadow figures, dark as the night, yet strangely compelling. Curiosity overpowered my fear. These shadow people were not the sinister entities often portrayed in stories. They exuded an aura of mystery as if they held the key to stories untold. Ooh, that sounds so good. They moved gracefully, their forms shifting like liquid darkness. Each encounter left me mesmerized, wondering about the stories they carried within them. Night after night, the shadow people returned. They gathered around me, their presence comforting yet enigmatic. They didn't speak in words, but I felt their emotions, ancient whispers of longing, sorrow, and a connection that transcended the boundaries of time. Man, I really should write books. it was it was as if they were inviting me to be part of their world, to share in their untold narratives. One evening, I summoned the courage to reach out to them. As my hand extended towards a shadowy figure, its form wavered, hesitating for a moment before mirroring my gesture. Our fingertips met, and a flood of emotions surged through my scared body. Um, it was like a tapestry of stories woven together, memories intermingling in a dance of feelings. Through those encounters, I discovered that the shadow people weren't mere phantoms; they were conduits to forgotten histories. They held within. I think okay. They held within them tales of love, loss, and the passage of time. Each encounter felt like a glimpse into a world parallel to ours, a realm where emotions transcended words. As the years passed, my encounters with them became infrequent. Life life took me away from Willowbrook, and I ended up in McAllen, Texas. That is such a strange journey there. Yet the memory of those nights remained etched in my heart, a reminder that there's more to reality than meets the eye. Even now, in this city, I occasionally catch a fleeting shadow in the corner of my eye. It's a bittersweet reminder of time when the boundary between reality and enchantment was thin, and the whispers of the unknown brushed against my soul. Those encounters have changed my perspective on life, showing me that beneath the surface of the everyday lies a tapestry, a story's yearning to be heard. Wow. So that was, Emily's got, she has good vocabulary there. It was beautifully written. But I think she conveyed her emotions pretty well. Um, my experiences with shadow people have not been as nice. I've always felt like they were there for wrongdoing. And I'll take you back to a personal experience. So just a couple years ago, my wife had a miscarriage, and it was really not a couple years ago. It was more like at this point, like a year and a half ago. And and I went through a really rough patch. I was having trouble. Uh, Man, I'm still kind of bothered by it, by that, So I had this little war with God. So uh, right before that, I wanted, I wanted a baby, and like my wife was about 3 months when she lost the baby. So at that point, I'm already like getting ready, you know what I mean, mentally and stuff. And when she lost the baby, it really hurt me. And I went on this war torn rage, man. Like, because I used to be like really fit and working out and running, and I hadn't been like that anymore. But I kind of went to war with myself, right? And And I was looking at God like, you did this, you did this. Why would you kill my unborn child or allow this to happen to some to a baby who can't yet defend itself? You know what I mean? I went off and I started working out and I running and running and lifting and lifting. And I mean, like in the sun, man. I took my weights out into the sun. I was working out at 12 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon for hours. And then at night I would go to the gym for 3 or 4 hours. And I did this for like, I want to say about a good 6 months. And towards the end of it, I decided to go back to school. And I really feel like God kind of pushes you in a way that you didn't know you needed to be pushed, because I might not have gone back to school. Because when I dropped out, I had been getting straight A's. I had actually gone back to school from another small leave of absence from school, right? And I got like maybe 6 or 7 A's, and then I stopped going again. Well, this time around, I'm still not done yet. I still have one class, right? So I just finished getting 10 straight A's after that, and I'm working on my last class. So, anyways, at right before I did that, though, I was having like a really hard time sleeping. I was just constantly in kind of like a rage state. And I'm sorry, my cat and my dog are playing. But anyways, and I am a Christian, and I was at church, and I asked my pastor to pray for me because I just couldn't shake this anger, right? Like it was just like this rage, and it was just constantly, and I hide it pretty well, right? But whenever I was alone, I was just like crying and like with like a rage, right? So I asked him to pray for me, and that night, like literally that night, I woke up from what I thought was a dream, and one of these shadow people was crawling towards me, like from the bed. Like he had just entered the room, and as he was crawling, see, this is the weird thing, guys. So as he was crawling towards me, he was shifting the reality around him as he was coming towards me. So I was like on my bed, but as he's coming toward me, all of a sudden I found myself in my grandmother's bed. And as he's getting closer to me, I was just focusing on him. So it's really like that creepy nightmare type of scenario where something's crawling on the bed, but it was crawling fast. So I didn't really have time to react. But what did happen is I managed to wake up on time right before, I'm so thankful to my pastor Elias Garza Jr. because he, I feel, allowed me to wake up on time with his prayer. And I caught him. Like I physically caught him. And when I caught him, I felt like I was being pulled through like multiple dimensions. It felt, because what happened was, and the only way to explain this is if like you were to catch a butterfly, large butterfly, and it was like fluttering on you, like, but it was the shadow person. It was doing that, and my hand, oh my God, like it started to burn, but I was not letting him go, right? And I'm like, I got you, you son of a. And guys, I kid you not, but the name of Jesus works wonders on these things. Like you say, no, in fact, you don't even have to say it. You think it, and they stand at attention. In fact, one other encounter, and I'll just mention it this time around, was at my mother-in-law's house. She's no longer with us, and I love that woman. But one of these things was in the room, and I just thought it. I got my guy. I remember holding my cross, and I said, and I just thought Jesus, and I felt this thing just leave the room. Like I had seen it because I used to sleep with a black light on, and I caught the shadow walking like a human being on the foot of my bed, and I thought Jesus, and I smiled, and it left. And I had my hand on my cross when I sat up. Okay, so anyways, where was I with this? Okay, so I caught him and he's fluttering in my hand, like he's trying to leave. I go, I'm not letting you go. And then I bit it. I looked at it and I bit it on his, what felt like would have been his cheek. I'm like, I'm not letting you go. And I just went and bit it. And when I bit it, I woke up and my hand was on fire, guys. Like, I'm not kidding you, but my hand was burning. So I think that they can trick you into thinking that they're good or whatnot, but no. In fact, I feel 100% that shadow people are aliens, what we consider aliens, and I think what we consider aliens are demons. So I think that whenever we actually catch the physical version of them when they're here, I do feel like those are kind of like some sort of biomechanical suits that their consciousness. So like you almost have to consider cerebral spinal fluid as like a mobile emitter, right? So our soul is contained within the cerebral spinal fluid in our body. So if you think about it, like we're all just energy waves or energy forms. So they're inserting their energy waves and energy forms inside a mechanical suit that allows them to interact in this world, right? So I'm 100% convinced that that's what they're doing. But unfortunately, they cannot feel emotions. And that's what they want. That's why they hate us, right? So, yeah, guys. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. So I really hope that if you guys have any stories, I would love for you guys to email them to me. And that way I can start producing more of these shows. So if you liked it, give me a thumbs up, give me a share. And then you can find me anywhere at the hashtag Bliss Shift or Beauty Demands Intimacy, or you can look for me at the Paracosm Cafe on Instagram and YouTube. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Or, well, yeah, I'm gonna turn it into a video too. I'll probably publish this on my YouTube channel. But all right, guys, thank you. Peace out.